Thank you, Lola. That was so inspiring. Hello, my name is Alexandra Dudley, and I'm a 19-year-old soon-to-be college junior.
Yes.
I hope you are all doing very well during this pandemic and this unprecedented time in our community. Here are some facts about me. I have a great family and supportive friends. I'm a film major in Boston. I use the She series, and if I could eat a bagel every day, I damn well would. But finally, most importantly, I identify as a Black woman who has also grown up in one of the whitest towns in America. Don't get me wrong, I love how I grew up. I'm incredibly privileged in the education I received and the memories I had, getting tastes of dough from Conquadora to running around with my friends on the playground. But for me, growing up in Sag Harbor my entire life meant I had to be scared of my identity. I look at this crowd and I know for a fact that none of you have never felt less than because of your race, or feel the need to prove to everyone in the room why you deserve to be there. One day after playing with the girl for weeks on the playground and sitting with her at morning program, I asked her on the bus if she wanted to have a play date, and she kindly told me that she couldn't because her parents did not like Black people. In middle school, many kids kept touching my kinky hair, and I decided I should straighten it afterwards to fit in. I considered a girl, a friend in high school, to be a very kind friend of mine, yet she called me the N-word twice and questioned how possibly I could own an expensive bag. During this time, various students told me that I wasn't really Black and that's why they could accept me. And I continued to try and fit in. No teacher or student would stand up for me. They would all recognize the injustice of it in private, but when it came to the time that mattered, they were silent. I had the same experience as everyone, and yet I didn't. No one tells you as a Black person that you have to teach yourself how to love yourself. Growing up in Sag Harbor meant I felt like I had to fight every day to prove I was smart. Growing up in Sag Harbor meant that I had to code switch and swallow parts of myself and fail at it. Many people like to give credit to Sag Harbor's history of diversity, but people of color in this community know different. Sag Harbor Hills, a historically African American community, exists because my grandfather's generation was not allowed to buy on Main Street. When my dad's friends were playing in the street and the police were called on them, they had to call Uncle Goody. Uncle Goody was Thurgood Marshall. Black Lives Matter was conceived from the inhumane killings of Black people in the United States. It's integral that you all have shown up here, but your support does not end here. When the protests start to die down, will you still care? Will you advocate for teachers of color? Diversify your leadership positions? Will you call out your close friends on their bias and inherent racist actions? Will you support Black businesses? Will you be more welcoming to people of color in this community? Will you question your own inherent bias? If you do not make any of those individual changes, I truly do not see the point of this march here today. Racism does not end at police brutality. Racism ends when we take action in every aspect of our lives and recognize how history has screwed over people of color. Yes. I am exhausted with the amount of fear and anxiety I have grown up with being Black, and for the rest of my life, it will never leave me. For the rest of my life, discrimination will never leave me. No, exactly. At the beginning of this speech, I gave you quick facts and stories about myself. Now that you know a little about me, will you make sure that I am not another Black body discarded? Will you make sure I am not another statistic? Will you change for the people of color in this community so they don't suffer the same consequences I have, or as we've seen in the news, far worse? Because when you are complicit in injustice, you decide that my life is not worth living. If you take anything from this speech, know that I want you to take action, hold yourself and others accountable. Challenge yourself to learn more every day and educate yourself about different cultures. To end this speech, I am 100% sure my parents do not want me to do this, but I would do a disservice to myself to censor my speech. To quote the great Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, the dog in Arabian Blitz, fuck the police! Thank you!